thank you for joining us today. We are here today because many organizations are struggling with increased costs and disrupted support services due to the termination of VMware's perpetual licenses and the push towards subscription-based models. In response to this, CGI has partnered with NetApp and Microsoft to offer an alternative to that, potentially which not only presents technical benefits, but also a procurement approach that leverages pre-approved IT spend. My name is Sheila Mason, and I lead a team at CGI in Canada that is 100% dedicated to bringing the best of our global alliance relationships to our clients. And joining me today are John Cooper from CGI, Vice President Consulting Delivery, whose team is skilled and equipped in delivering the services that you'll be hearing about today. We've got Sylvain Liberté from Microsoft, our Partner Development Manager, and he's focused on bringing the best of CGI and Microsoft together in Canada in a way that delights our joint customers. And of course, we've got Garrett Raymond from NetApp's Worldwide Professional Services team, and he's working with us at CGI to enhance our services with innovation through NetApp data intelligence technology. To get started, we're going to invite everybody to share your perspective on this poll question that we're going to bring up in just a second. Here it is. So the question is, your 3-year VMware Enterprise agreement is up for renewal in 60 days. The new contract that you've received is a 40% increase, which is significantly beyond your IT budget. So your CFO has rejected this new cost, but your virtualization infrastructure supports 80% of your business critical applications. Now, your IT environment does include an Azure tenant. So what would you do? Would you A, plea for more budget, B, negotiate with VMware for a better deal, C, consider a phased migration to Azure VMware solution, D, consider alternative virtualization platforms, or E, none of the above? So if I can invite you to just use your chat and start entering some of your thoughts there, we'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Are we seeing any thoughts, any comments come in? Oh, starting. Just let us know A, B, C, D, or E, and then we'll go forward from there. Okay, well, it looks like, oh, thank you. We've got some responses coming in. Thank you for that. Feel free to enter those thoughts as you have a chance to think about this. In the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to shift a little bit. You'll notice, or maybe not, I just changed my background. I am now an IT director with Funtoso. And this is a fictional CGI client organization in Canada. And so in this role, I'm going to interact with my panelists on this call. So let's pretend that, I've been working with John Cooper for the last 12 years or so with him and his team on many different IT projects. And now I'm going to turn to him for help for this exact problem. Hi, John.
Hi, Sheila. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. Exciting day today. We've got the King of England here today, so I'm in Ottawa. So yeah, so it's a busy time out there. Thank you for meeting with me. I am in a bit of a bind, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So our VMware Enterprise agreement is up for renewal in 60 days, and the new proposal is 40% higher than what we pay now. I don't have the budget for this increase, but 80% of our business critical applications run on VMware. As you know, we've started investing in Azure in the past few years, and we even signed a Microsoft Azure consumption commitment for about 300 million, I think it is, over the next 3 years. And I did meet with Microsoft just a month ago, and they were speaking with me about the option of Azure VMware solution for this, and it sounds promising, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on this and see what you think.
All right, well, Sheila, the good news is you're not alone. This is a common point of discussion, a pattern we're seeing across many of our clients. And fortunately, through our alliance partnership with NetApp and with Microsoft, we've come to appreciate the value of using some of the available tools from NetApp in particular. For example, the Data Infrastructure Insights tool, or DII, can really help us in these kinds of situations. With DII, we can get a quick and accurate view of the enterprise that would otherwise take us, a number of workshops that we would coordinate with your team to do. So it really optimizes the time frame in which it takes us to get some insight into your environment. And not to mention, this normally or typically without the DII tool set would require additional expertise from your side to really help us understand your environment. So by leveraging DII, we can really help you get started with a no-cost cloud design workshop, which would look at your VMware footprint, some of your application dependencies, your performance requirements. And to do that, we leverage a 30-day free trial version of DII, which would probably take about 2 weeks. And then we can have a more informed discussion about the options available, Sheila.
That's interesting. I'm not very familiar with DII. What does it do exactly?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So this is where I get to phone a friend. I'll ask Garrett Raymond from NetApp, our solutions innovation architect, who's been working closely with the CGI team to help us get more value out of the NetApp tools and DII specifically. So Garrett, could you help us out here?
Yeah. So DII, or Data Infrastructure Insights, is an agnostic tool that'll go through and look at your infrastructure plant that's in your environment. And by that, I mean, it'll look at your storage. It doesn't necessarily need to be NetApp, and that's why we say it's totally agnostic. It can look at our competitors, our Dells, our HPs, our Pures, everything else that's on the floor, and especially VMware in your containers. And what it does is it gives a different lens of reviewing what's in your environment and shows you what's happening, what's being utilized, what's being underutilized or overutilized. And it gives you over time recommendations about what's happening in your environment. And that's why we say, that let it soak in the environment for at least 2 weeks so we can understand what's happening. And it's complementary to your existing tools that you may have in there today. It's not going to necessarily compete with them. It's going to give you a different eye and a different lens to look at what's happening. And from that, it really gives you the ability to look at what's in your environment and make a data-driven decision of what you need to do or what could be done or what could be moved into AVS, into Azure, and making sure that your business stays up and running. By collaborating with CGI, we're able to take their expertise with cloud, their expertise with VMware, their expertise that they have managing your environment over those 12 years, and pair that with data to make those appropriate recommendations and make this so that it's a very valuable use of your time so that we can act together to make sure that you can rationalize and save some money with what's happening.
Okay, so that sounds cool. So it's not going to cost me anything. You're going to look across my environment. What do I get when you're done?
Well, that's a great question. Naturally, as you can imagine, DII will generate or retrieve a lot of information out of your environment. So in its undistilled format would be a lot of information for you to absorb. So we like to compile that in a PPT report. So you don't have to review a massive spreadsheet with metrics. And out of that will give us some direction on where or what the appropriate approach will be for a migration effort. It will also give us the detail we need to understand where there may be opportunities to leverage other NetApp technologies that may benefit us in the migration activities. For example, Azure NetApp Files, NetApp Cloud Volumes ONTAP. Each of these give us some benefit in a migration initiative. And again, I think Garrett again can probably help us elaborate a little bit more on the usefulness of those tools, particularly for the migration.
Yep. So Azure NetApp Files, or ANF, as we like to call it internal, is a solution that we've built with Microsoft, and it is a marketplace transactional, marketplace solution that pairs with AVS, and it gives you a way to expand your storage without necessarily expanding out AVS. And it's very performance driven, and it's very scalable. So as you grow, it can grow with you. We also have our Cloud Volumes on Tap, or CVO, and it's a block-based solution that we can put into Azure to connect into your environment and give you parity to what you're used to having on-prem. If you have built a clustered solution inside your on-prem environment today, and you want to mirror that capability into the cloud to have that resiliency and that reliability, with CVO, we can do that. Together, when we do these recommendations with DII, it comes together to show you what's the right tool for what you're doing in your environment based on your performance, based on what you're doing today, what your requirements are for the future, and allows you to make, educated determinations of what and where to put your data to make sure that your environment and your infrastructure still stays up and runs.
Cool.
So that's great, Garrett. Now, again, if you're happy with the results of the report and some of the recommendations in that, we're pleased to be able to contract with you in our normal way for some professional services to undertake migration. Or if you're interested, we can extend private offers inside the Azure Marketplace for our AVS plan and migration offer, as well as complementary NetApp tools, for example, DII and CVO to optimize the migration. Then if you do choose to accept our private marketplace offers, that MACC that Funtoso just signed would increment the DII and CVO costs with each billing.
Okay, interesting. So just a couple of questions. Do your service costs also decrement our MACC?
No, so the professional services do not decrement the MACC. It's the NetApp tools that do that, but by including our services as a marketplace private offer, what that does is, of course, just simplify the procurement experience. That way, all you need to do is go into the Azure portal, accept the 3 private offers, one for NetApp Data Infrastructure Insights, one for NetApp Cloud Volumes on Tap, and one for our migration services. This also will simplify the payment process because Microsoft's just going to invoice you for those offers as additional line items on your enterprise agreement invoice. It means there's no additional contract for you to manage with CGI or NetApp, Sheila.
Yeah, that sounds great. I like simple. So also wondering, I know that CGI is a great Microsoft partner. How does that alliance relationship with Microsoft help me as your client?
Sure. Well, I'm glad you asked that. Sylvan has been waiting patiently for his time on the floor, and maybe I'll ask him to help us a little bit more with that. Sylvan, can you help?
Sure, absolutely. So yes, CGI is a very strategic partner of Microsoft in Canada and around the world. So with that partnership comes a lot of advantage, right? So to be able to help you out on your transformation and within that project, we have a lot of resources, right? The first ones are about funding. Everybody looks for ways to lower the cost of your projects. So we have 2 mechanisms that we can help out. Well, actually more than 2, but 2 main mechanisms we can help out. We have a programmatic approach, which is called AMM, Azure Migrate and Modernize, which actually gives you a lot of resource and a lot of money, depending on the size of your project, to be able to lower your integration costs with our great partner, CGI. Should your project falls outside the boundaries of that programmatic offer, we also have discretionary offers that we can put towards to suit your needs. Sometimes the project are bigger or smaller, so we have a lot of flexibility in terms of funding to be able to help you lower the cost of that migration and transform into AVS. On top of that, on top of the money itself, we also have a team of expert. They're not tools; they're a team of expert that can help you that have done multiple of those migration around the world, which we call them the Cloud Migration Factory. So this is a tool. No, it's not a tool; it's a team of specialists that we actually have that have performed those migrations. So they have seen the normal stuff. They have seen also a lot of issues that can go with those difficult projects sometimes. So they're able to respond and help the CGI team, transform into AVS. We also recognize that while you're transforming and that while you're migrating from on-prem to AVS, there will be a time that you will pay double, right? Meaning that your infrastructure on-prem is still live. Your infrastructure on Azure, on AVS is, spun up because you will have to migrate the workloads. So you're going to pay double for those services. So we do have an offer, credits for the customer. So for yourself, Sheila, that will help you, alleviate some of those costs while you're in the migration period. So we're going to be able to give you Azure credits to lower those that we call that double mortgage period. It's something that we've seen across the board, right? And because CGI also, the third leg is because CGI is also a strategic partner. We have a lot of technical resources, inside Microsoft that we can help. We can go up and as high as the product group should we need to have a discussion with them. And we have a lot of architects that are, here to help, with your special, request and with, to tailor the architecture for your environment. So we like AVS as a first party service inside Microsoft Azure, but, we understand your environment has probably subtleties. So we want to make sure that we're able to tailor for that. So we have a lot of experts on call that are able to help CGI and yourself as a customer.
That sounds amazing. It sounds like I think I heard a big toolbox coming from Microsoft, right? That includes funding, experts, credits, and access to the product group themselves as well, right? So that's great. That really it really de-risks that experience for us in so many ways. And so since you're from Microsoft, is there anything else that I should know about procuring this offer through the Azure Marketplace? I haven't done that before, but John did mention it would decrement our MACC and simplify procurement. Is there anything else I should know about that?
Yeah, indeed. It will decrement your commitment and it will ease the procurement because, as John said, it's going to be one bill for all. So you won't have to deal with multiple invoices, right? On top of that, you will also be able to, if you have multiple departments, you'll be able to allocate, the specific spend to each department. So we have some FinOps capabilities that are attached to it. You'll be able to attach them to your Azure subscriptions. You have flexibility as well with the marketplace offer in terms of how you want to pay for it, right? So do you want to pay quarterly, monthly? Do you want to pay annually? There's a lot of flexibility that we can put into that. And like I mentioned, it's all integrated with the Azure platform. So you'll be able to do the FinOps and follow your commitment decrement, making sure you allocate everything to the right place. So there's a lot of telemetry we could use to help you, with that transition. And Marketplace is a great tool to do it.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Say, John, we've worked together for a long time now, and what I'm hearing from you, what you're telling me, is that not only can you and your team help us with an AVS migration, but you're also bringing NetApp tools to accelerate with insights into my environment, and you're presenting me with an opportunity to purchase all of this through the Azure Marketplace to optimize my budget and get access to all sorts of insights and reporting that will help me manage my spend strategically as well. So let me take this back to my team, bring them up to speed. But so far, I think I like what I'm hearing. So assuming I want to proceed, what can I expect next?
Great question, Sheila. So I think actually I have a slide to talk you through what it looks like. So we would start a cloud design workshop initially with a mobilization call, a 30-minute call. So this initial step's about a week. We need to, of course, get the DII license. We'll walk through with your team. How do we do that? We'll discuss your pain points. What are the challenges in your environment? What are the critical business applications? So once we get our trial license, we discuss the installation. We show you the kinds of information DII is going to generate, answer questions you may have about the install of the product, which is usually something that comes up. We claim your trial license. There's about a 2-week burn-in period. Once we install the tool, we run And I think Garrett referred to this, to get useful information, you want to have about 2 weeks worth of data collection. We'll take it away, of course, for a week. Want to review the results of that DII analysis and prepare for you the workshop, the PPT, the roll-up. We'll need some more time with you, of course, to run you through the results and help you understand. So overall, we'd expect your team to not have to spend a bunch of time with us to conclude here, which is very nice. So the DII toolset really helps us do all of the heavy lifting. We distill and pull that together and report for you and share with you the details. So all of this kind of in this timeline. Garrett, I don't know, I may have missed something. Would you like to add anything else?
Yeah, one of the main things that we want to do to ensure that we get value out of this is to have an executive show up to participate. And what that's going to do is it's going to give CGI and everyone involved into this engagement a larger understanding of what's happening inside of the environment. When we traditionally do these workshops, not in the CDW style, but traditionally we do these DII workshops, we'll get information from infrastructure, but we're going to neglect what the applications are. And by having that executive buy-in, we're going to get the applications, we're going to get the network, we're going to get the infrastructure, we're going to get the goals of what you're trying to do all captured in the initial set of this meeting, so that we can make those long-term decisions with you and really plan this thing back out. And for us, that's a big ask to make sure that we have an executive sponsorship and show up for the beginning and for the end when we do the readout, so that they get the full scope of what we're trying to do.
All right. Well, sorry.
I was going to say, Sheila, I mean, so instead of close out and to answer your question, I mean, so assuming you're happy with what you've seen from the results of our tool set, our workshops together, and the roll-up report, we'll extend those private offers that we talked about earlier, and then you can go ahead, select those offers, and we'll get started on the detailed plan of migration.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much, John and Garrett and Sylvain, for walking us through this today. And I am back now as your host from CGI. Thank you to everybody on the call today. This kind of dialogue that you just heard right now, it's something that's becoming very real for a lot of our clients. And so if you're facing a VMware renewal, or you just want to explore what AVS could look like for your organization, we'd love to walk you through a personalized version of this conversation with you. And for that, we'll just say, hey, contact John Cooper. We'll throw his email address in the chat. And I know I see there is a question in the chat. So it's Ferial. I don't know if our discussion today answered your question. You did ask for some elaboration on DII, and I know Garrett spoke to that. I don't know, Garrett, if there's anything else you wanted to add, or maybe we can see if there's still additional questions on that.
Yeah, so some additional information for DII is that it is a connector-based tool, and it does pass a lot of the security musters once we work through your security team, because it's only going to need read-only access, and it's going to have connectors that are deployed on-prem or into the cloud in order to have, again, read-only access to see what's transitioning between sources and destinations. We're not going to see what's inside the pipes. We're not going to see what you're transmitting. We just need to see that, application server A is sending a terabyte of data every night between this period of time and that period of time, so that we can capture what's happening. But when we sit down and go through this, we do want to make sure that everyone is comfortable with the tool, but it is a application API-based tool that requires read-only access. Mm-hmm. And if anyone wants to go deeper down that, I have a whole bunch of SMEs that I can bring in, and we can go into the tool in great depth.
Yeah, thanks for that. I know sometimes we get concerns about, we would never be able to get that past security to get that installed, but hopefully your elaboration helped to address some of those concerns. If there are any other questions, please do feel free to throw them in the chat. There is another question that tends to come up, and so maybe I'll just throw that to you, John. It's something we've heard a little bit. the VMware issue or problem is not brand new, and so some teams, some organizations have already started with assessment type services, whether it's with Microsoft or others. And so let's assume that there's an organization out there that's done that already. Would you still recommend doing the cloud design workshop?
For most definitely, Sheila, for sure, and you're absolutely right. A lot of our existing clients are already involved in some sort of investigation on approach. What next steps? But I think that we would leverage what you've already done to it would be part of the CDW that we perform. The key differentiator for us, I think, is in the DII tool set and the fact that it can retrieve metrics in your environment that you are unlikely to have gathered through your other approaches. So I don't think we're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater situation. I think we would read whatever data you've collected through your investigations already and incorporate that into our planning. But by and large, what we're doing is again, leveraging heavily the tool set to go deep in the environment and understand what those pain points are. So no wasted effort, but certainly we would take what you've done so far into account, Sheila.
Great, thanks for that. We have one more question related to the Cloud Design Workshop, and I know you spoke about this, but just in terms of what types, like who from the client organization should participate in the Cloud Design Workshop, and how much time should they set aside for spending with CGI on this?
So I can take a quick one and then I can turn it back to John. But from our side, we generally recommend no more than 16 hours with a client. We'll break that up into a couple days so that people don't get overwhelmed. But in terms of resources, it's going to be people that have the read-only access to what we're going to look like to do that VMware migration. So if it's going to be VMware, we're going to want the VMware team involved. There's the application group, we're going to want them involved so that we're reviewing things. There's a lot of tribal knowledge that exists in environments, and we're going to need to know that when we do those discoveries with a client. John?
Yeah, I'm with you, Garrett. I mean, we had spoken about this. Workshop fatigue is a real thing, right? We recognize that there's a lot of pressures taxing your team. So as you said, we want to minimize the time that we need to leverage the client personnel for our work. So as you said, I think you just said 16 hours. I mean, that's reasonable. And from our perspective, again, it's the implementation of that tool set, letting it run in the environment, and then it's rolling up the results and booking more time to conclude with you. So we do try to keep it quite tight and not be too taxing on you or your team in day-to-day operations.
All right, well, thanks for that. I don't see any more questions in the chat, so maybe I'll just take this moment to thank everybody again for joining, and thank you, of course, to John, Garrett, and Sylvain for walking us through this. Again, if you have any questions or you want to follow up, please do follow up with John. Balaji, if you could please drop John's email in the chat, that would be great. And with that, we wish everybody a wonderful day and hope to hear from you. I know John would be really thrilled to hear from you. So,
yeah.
So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.